Hi, everyone. Welcome to Crime Family. I'm your co host, AJ, and I'm here with my sisters, Katie and Lisa. And for this week's episode, Lisa is actually going to be leading us through this case, and it is the case of Chelsea Poorman. And I'll speak for myself, I don't know really much or anything at all about this case, so I'll be hearing it and the details for the first time. I don't know, Katie, do you know about this case?
No, I don't think I've heard about this one yet.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll be hearing it for the first time, and Lisa will be kind of taking us through all of the details. So without further ado, Lisa, take it away.
Okay, so yes, this is the case of Chelsea Poorman, and it's actually super close to home because it happened in the city I live in. I remember when it happened. I watched it all unfold in real time back in 2020. I remember seeing the missing posters all over downtown Vancouver. So, and you, Katie, have been downtown where this happened, and AJ has too. You've been to some of the neighborhoods they're going to mention. I think me and Katie even been to one of the bars that's mentioned. So anyway, it's just crazy what has happened literally in the neighborhood that you live in. So this is the case of Chelsea Poorman. Is she a young Indigenous woman whose disappearance and death raised serious questions about police handling and vulnerability. And to this day, her family believes that they still don't have the truth. So Chelsea Portman was born in 1995 in Regina, Saskatchewan. She was a member of the Kawakatoos First Nation and the middle child of three sisters. And she was someone who always dreamed big. She wanted to be a makeup artist, a fashion designer, and a musician. And she loved animals. She loved helping people. She would always go out and give coffee to the homeless people in her neighborhood. Had a kind soul, and she was just a very loving person. But her childhood was far from easy. Her mother, Sheila, actually battled cancer and addiction during Chelsea's early years. So while Sheila fought for her life, Chelsea and her sisters were placed in foster care. Eventually, Sheila regained her health, and the girls were reunited with their mother during their teenage years. And despite everything she had been through, Chelsea persevered. She graduated from Bishop Murray High School in Saskatoon in 2014, and her teachers awarded her Perseverance Award recognition for overcoming extraordinary obstacles just to finish grade 12. But the obstacles weren't over. One night, 6 years before she was to go missing, after leaving a friend's house in Saskatchewan, Chelsea was hit by a semi truck. The injuries were catastrophic. According to her mother, doctors nearly lost Chelsea multiple times on the operating table, and they called her survival a miracle. The accident left Chelsea with both arms were broken. Her sister actually said on a Crime Beat episode that like her elbow literally like came off, like and flew down the highway, and the doctors had to reattach her elbow, which I just thought I didn't know. That's
Jesus.
that was
I didn't know
crazy.
that could happen.
Me either. Like her elbow flew down the highway and hit, and so she had two broken arms. The legs had broken. They had to reattach her elbow. So as a result, her arm is always at a 90-degree angle. She couldn't bend it, and her head was split open. The doctors had said there was no bleeding on the brain. There was nothing to worry about. There was no major head injury. But her family says Chelsea was never the same after this accident. Her father later said in an interview, "There are moments when she will look at you with like he called them faraway eyes, like something inside her had shifted." Her family said it was hard for Chelsea to come to terms that she wouldn't have a normal life. Because of the accident, she was no longer able to have any kids ever, and the doctors weren't even sure she'd ever walk again. Like they were convinced she wouldn't walk, but Chelsea did. It only took her 7 months with a brace on one leg and a shoe lift on the other. She relearned how to walk through sheer determination. And through it all, she stayed positive, she stayed hopeful, and she was just a fighter, always had been. So after the accident, Chelsea received a financial settlement. And according to her sister, people she trusted, like she considered these people her friends, they later targeted her for that money and tortured her to give up her bank card number. But Chelsea refused. So as a result of this, she was assaulted, beaten with a gun, and left badly injured. And this caused further brain damage. So this trauma changed her deeply. Mentally, the brain injury left lasting effects. At times, her family says Chelsea's mind would regress emotionally and cognitively to that of a much younger person. So after this incident with these people she had thought were her friends, Chelsea kind of goes off the deep end a bit. She's struggling with addiction. She says she no longer feels beautiful. The scars on her body affected how she saw herself. She had told her sister that there was no amount of money in the world that would change the way she felt about herself on the inside. So she just was going through such a hard time. So in 2020, Chelsea decides she wants a fresh start. So in July of that year, July 13th, I think is the exact date, she moves to Vancouver, where both her sister and her mother now live. And things appeared to be improving. Her sister Paige later said she admired Chelsea's effort to grow and rebuild her life. So, by all accounts, everything was going well. So, this brings us to Labor Day weekend, Sunday, September 6th, 2020. So, Chelsea and Paige go out to dinner in Gastown. It's a neighborhood in Vancouver, in downtown Vancouver. So those who don't know, it's like a little neighborhood downtown, a really beautiful spot on the water, a huge tourist spot. So Chelsea's mom says that on this comedy episode that I watched, that her mom was originally supposed to go with them to go get something to eat, but she wasn't feeling good that night, so she thought they would have a better time without her. So as her daughters walked out the door, Sheila said, you girls just make sure you keep in contact with me, text me, let me know what's going on. And they just both said, okay. So they eat at the Alibi Room in Gastown, and then they hop on a bus and head up to the Belmont Hotel on Granville Street, which is the heart of Vancouver's nightlife. It's called the Entertainment District. It's where a lot of the bars are in Vancouver. And so Granville Street is a very busy street, and even with COVID restrictions, this is right in the middle of prime COVID 2020, bars, clubs, crowds, there were security cameras everywhere. It was still a pretty busy spot. So
Mhm. I was gonna say I was surprised anything was even open. It wasn't like everything closed?
yeah, I mean, apparently not, I guess. I
I
didn't
guess
go
it was
out.
September, so maybe
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
everything was
But you
closed
got
in my mind. I didn't go
but
anywhere.
you guys
But
you guys both know Granville. And I've been to the bar, but you guys both know Granville at night and I so yeah, they block the street off usually and it's really busy and just the security cameras everywhere. So just keep that in mind. Every business pretty much has a security camera on it. So according to Paige, as soon as they enter the bar, the Belmont, three men begin harassing them immediately. And so Chelsea, who's always been too friendly, too trusting, she starts talking to them. And Paige felt uneasy, and she later says she had a bad feeling about these men. She had told Chelsea, not to talk to them because they were obviously creeps, but Chelsea didn't listen. So they at the Belmont for a bit, and then Paige suggests they go to her friend's house, which is 2 blocks away on Davie and Granville. So the sisters leave the bar and walk about 20 minutes to the friend's apartment. And they're at the party for a bit when Chelsea and Paige get into an argument. So Chelsea, she's intoxicated and upset. She decides to leave and she doesn't tell her sister where she's going. And as Chelsea walks out, a fire alarm is pulled in the building. And Paige believes it was Chelsea that did it. Chelsea has done that in the past when she's angry and drunk. She pulls the fire alarm. That's just something she did, apparently. And so everyone in the building evacuates. So Paige goes downstairs. This is right after Chelsea leaves. Paige goes downstairs and she searches the street. She walks up one direction for a bit and then turns around and walks the other way. But Chelsea is nowhere to be seen. She's just gone. So Paige goes back upstairs and into her friend's apartment and calls Chelsea 3 times. So the first call lasts about 15 seconds, and then she calls again. It lasts about 7 seconds. And then calls again. It lasts about 30 seconds. And then at 12:57 a.m., Chelsea texts one message and it says, "Leave me alone. I'm with my new bae." And that text would be the last confirmed communication from Chelsea. So her sister tries calling again at 3 a.m., then at 4, then at 6, and then at 10 a.m., and there's no answer. And then Chelsea's phone is eventually shut off. So Paige then tells her mother, something's not right. So Chelsea had disappeared before, so her family waits a couple of days before reporting her missing. And so by September 8th, they're very worried, and that is when they officially report Chelsea missing. When Sheila Poorman, who's Chelsea's mother, reports Chelsea missing, she says she repeatedly tells VPD, Vancouver Police Department, that her daughter is vulnerable, physically, cognitively, and emotionally. But from the very beginning, Chelsea's mother, Sheila, says she did not trust how the Vancouver Police Department handled her daughter's case. So despite Chelsea's family insisting to the police that she's vulnerable, the public was not notified Chelsea was missing for 10 days. So the deputy police chief of Vancouver does say in an interview that when Chelsea was reported missing, the file was transferred to a police officer within an hour of her being reported missing by her mom, and there were a number of investigative measures taken immediately within those 24-hour periods. So she's kind of said, no, like, we did take it seriously right away. So the steps the police said they took right away was the cell phone pings, searching known locations, video canvassing, and briefings to patrol officers. So Sheila, Chelsea's mother, said she told the police Chelsea, like I said, was vulnerable, and she said the VPD did not listen to her once. So VPD says they were aware of her disabilities, but they were also aware that she was a strong, independent woman who lived independently. So they cut that in mind too, as why they didn't maybe look as strongly at right away as they should have. So her family says police delayed releasing photos, delayed escalating the case, and delayed listening, which they think hindered the case significantly. So when VBD is asked about this in an episode of Crime Beat, they say, they are required to consider a person's privacy right, to consider that there are myriad of reasons why people leave a situation and maybe don't tell family and friends where they're going, and they have to respect an adult's privacy in some cases. So that's the excuse they give. And then Michael Kieran, who is Chelsea's adoptive dad, he buys the van and drives down to Vancouver from Saskatchewan. He plans to live in his van until his daughter is found. So he wraps the van in Chelsea's picture and has a makeshift bed inside. And he says in an interview that he thought, okay, I'll go down there. It'll be 3 days tops. I'll find her and that'll be it. I'll find her right away. So he walks all up and down the Granville Street, passing out flyers. And I remember seeing her missing posters all through downtown when I was, going to work and just walking around on the weekend. Her posters were everywhere. The downtown strip, like I had said before, is full of security cameras at many businesses. So once businesses started opening up a bit more, like I said, this was during COVID. So once businesses did start opening up a bit more, Chelsea's father walked up and down the Granville Strip, stopping at many businesses, asking if the police have been around to inquire about the missing person. And business after business told him the same thing. Police had never come asking for surveillance footage. So Michael confronts the police about this, and the detective tells him, unfortunately, due to COVID, they weren't able to talk to the businesses because of the fact that places were closed. So I don't know if that means that, like, just because places were closed, the cameras weren't on or something. But when they are asked to elaborate later, police later said that COVID closures limited access, but they also stated that they did canvass 118 locations. But
Yeah,
there was
I was just thinking that's actually a good point. I never thought of that before. If a business is closed, the cameras don't work. I mean, I guess if they're closed for an extended period of time, you probably shut them down. But you probably don't shut them down. You definitely don't shut them down like every night when you're closed, because something happens overnight. You want to see who did it. But like, yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that. Like if you're closed for
yeah,
COVID for like 2 months, but I guess maybe you would have to because there's not somebody there manning like the. I don't know. I don't really know how it works, but you know how
yeah,
they record a certain amount and then they like re-record, like they record over it after a certain amount of time. Like I don't know if
yeah,
that's. I don't know. That's weird, but the police
yeah,
sound like they.
Or you probably
So,
have to pay or something, like, to keep your coverage of your footage or something, so people probably just stopped paying because they weren't making money, so, like, just shut the cameras down too.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, they said there was no footage showing Chelsea leaving the building. There's no footage showing which direction she went, and there's no footage showing if she left with someone. But the extent of what is on the video that was gathered is not something that the police can comment on. They said they never commented on what was actually on the videos. And the weird part is there's a community police station that is directly right across from the building Chelsea was last seen in front of. And on the outside of this police station, there's 3 cameras, and Chelsea's dad says that he is certain that third camera would have shown the outside of the apartment building, or close enough to the outside where Chelsea was. But the police tell her that the cameras didn't work that night. Of course, that night. So there's no surveillance video showed Chelsea leaving the building that night. No clues as to what direction she's going.
Do
But
we
like
know
I
that
said
that's
earlier, she left
true?
with some.
Did the police maybe just didn't look and they don't trying to cover their ass and saying, "Oh, they
Yeah, I
just didn't
mean,
work." I don't trust the
they.
police.
Yeah,
They probably
like
just were too stupid to look, and then they're like, "Oh well, there was no footage."
it wasn't working that night, he said. It wasn't like they're working at all. It's like, that just sounds that night. It's just like, how many times have we heard that in every case, you know? It's like, always when something is going wrong, that's the night the cameras didn't work. And it's like, it's right outside of the police station, the 3 cameras. Like, it's a community police station. I pass it all the time. It's 3 big cameras. Would have shown directly across the street from, she was outside. She left with a new man, apparently, and there was nothing shown. It's weird. So 2 months later, police tell Sheila the case is being transferred to the homicide unit, not because they believe Chelsea was murdered, but because they now consider her vulnerable and the unit has more resources. And Chelsea's family, this is unacceptable because they had told police Chelsea was vulnerable from day one. So 2 months later, now you're like, oh yeah, she's vulnerable, so we're going to transfer it over to the homicide unit. They're like, if you had listened to day one, we would have told you that. The family takes matters into their own hands. They print flyers. They organize rallies. There were so many rallies downtown about, not just about Chelsea. There was two other Indigenous women that went missing at the same time. So it was kind of a rally for these 3 women. They raised $10,000 for a reward, but nothing came of it. And so for another year and a half, there were no signs of Chelsea. So for a street saturated with cameras, Chelsea seemed to vanish into thin air, and there was no confirmed sightings. So like I said, rallies were held, posters were printed, but those posters were torn down, defaced, and even burned. Like this actual video of like some bitch like, oh, like you can't put the poster on the pole because it's going to damage the pole. It's like a pool full of bird shit, so I don't think it really matters. And then like there's actually video of it, someone on the Crime Beat episode of the girl saying that. There's a guy like, they'd have a video of a guy like he's going up and he's tearing all the posters down for no reason, just a loser. And so
What a
Chelsea's family,
loser.
I
Why
know,
put your energy
Maybe they
into
should
something
look
like
into
that?
him. Maybe they should look
Yeah.
into him.
yeah, and like, or like, and the people were like burning the posters. They're like, it's just awful. And then Chelsea's sister had said, like, sometimes I felt like there was no point even putting the posters up because no one seemed to care. Other times, you know, she was overcome with the support that a lot of the city was showing with the rallies and stuff. And they were on the news quite a bit, begging for answers. So this was a huge thing in Vancouver about this missing girl. It was all over the place. So that's kind of where it goes. That's where it kind of ends. Then on April 22nd, 2022, nearly a year and a half later, a construction worker discovers human remains in the overgrown backyard of a vacant $7.1 million mansion in Shaughnessy, which is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Canada. The home sat near West 36th Avenue and Granville Street. So Shaughnessy is just this very, very ritzy neighborhood that is full of huge, huge houses. A lot of them are vacant because the owners live overseas. So the house had been empty for 6 years. The backyard was overgrown and secluded. And then it had been known, like homeless individuals are known to party there, and it had become a problem in the neighborhood. A lot of complaints about this property that a lot of people were hanging out and doing drugs in. So, under a blanket on a ground level patio, seated on a mattress, were human remains, Chelsea Poorman. So, the front lawn, like the front of the house had been regularly maintained, but the backyard was overgrown, had not been taken care of in a long time. So, the Vancouver Police Office says in a press conference that the area where she was discovered is rather, like I said, unkept and overgrown. And it's quite likely and plausible that she died there shortly after she disappeared. They think she died the night she went missing and remained there undiscovered until the contractor came to work on the house. So, like I said, she was found under a blanket in a seated position. She arrived there on a September night, and she was outside for a long period of time, over 18 months. So
She was sitting there, like sitting up?
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they said.
Oh.
Under a blanket. So she was there for 2 winters, and she was also there during that huge heat dome we got. 40 degree. I don't remember. You remember we had a heat dome? Katie would remember. She was in BC. Like 40, 50 degree. Like people were dying in people homes because it was so hot. She was there during that time too. So there was significant decomposition to her body. So it's really just it was skeletal. It was bone essentially.
So where was it? Where was her body found again? Like in the house? In the
backyard of the house.
Oh, in the backyard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so she was outside, like actually exposed to the elements.
Yeah, for
outside.
2 winters, that huge heat dome that was killing people.
Well, I find it crazy that like there's people that would party in that house and there's like neighbors complaining about it, but no one like could smell what was happening in the backyard there or
well,
like
so
look to see. I don't know.
Yeah, and she was like, and it's like they show video, they show pictures of like where the mattress was, and it's like it was so decomposed. Like it's gruesome, but she was going through the mattress. You know what I mean? After a point, and then they show the spot where the mattress was, and it's just white dust. It stained the cement because it's the bones were staining. Like she was
So,
decomposing,
so you could
literally.
tell had been there the whole time and wasn't just like placed
That's what,
there
yeah, like
recently.
it was
Yeah.
just bone. They could tell she was sitting up. She was under a
Oh,
blanket, but
crazy.
she was starting to even like decompose through the mattress. And when they show a picture of like where she was, like close to the mattress, and everything's gone, but it's all white ash underneath because her bones was like it's disintegrating. So that's just god awful. Yeah, so there was significant decomposition to her body. She went through 2 winters. I mean, the winters in Vancouver aren't that harsh, but we did get some snow, and of course that heat dome that summer. I think it was 2021 or something. Definitely would have sped up the process of decomposition. So after 18 months, she had finally been found, but police did not notify the family she had been found for 2 weeks. So they didn't, for some reason. So that's what they said. They said they needed time to confirm the identity, but the family questioned this explanation because the remains matched Chelsea's physical disabilities and the clothes she was last seen wearing. So they thought like it's pretty obvious it was her. Why did you wait? Didn't need 2 weeks to know it was her? But so basically what the family's saying. And the Vancouver police later stated something that it outrages everyone. They said there's no evidence to suggest Chelsea's death was suspicious. So that kind of brings everything up into an uproar all through the city. So they go into detail later. They say a coroner tells Chelsea's mom that Chelsea wasn't fully intact. So when they hear this, they're like, how can the death not be suspicious? And no foul play. So the details of her body missing raise questions. So she had missing fingers. She was missing parts of her skull. There was no identification, no phone. Parts of her body were missing. So they think, how can they not be considered suspicious? VBD police officer kind of goes in a press conference and kind of tries to walk back what he said because everyone's like, this doesn't make sense. So he said the circumstances surrounding her disappearance, the fact she was on Granville Street 1 minute, the next she is gone and not seen or heard from for 18 months is definitely suspicious. But now with the totality of the evidence, they don't find her death suspicious. And he also says the investigation is complete, which outrages and perplexes those closest to Chelsea. Like it's complete. How the hell did like what happened to her? There's a retired Vancouver police detective that does an interview. He actually retired before this case, so he didn't have any part in Chelsea's case, but he had a lot to say about about the. I don't think he really liked the VPD. I could compare it like based off what he says, but he does say that decomposition makes it really hard to determine cause of death. He said had a toxicology screen been done, had been able to be done, they couldn't do one 18 months later, but they said had a toxicology screen been able to be done, they had seen like a really high amount of something in a system or signs of a struggle, that would have obviously helped tremendously to kind of point them in the right direction. The police didn't know if she had potentially had been injected by someone else. He said it's pretty common in the drug world. It's called like someone gets hot capped. I guess that's what it's called. And someone else overdoses in them. And because of investigations just like this, nobody's the wiser. Like someone overdoses, the party leaves. No one's the wiser. But who was there? Who did it? So her father asks the coroner, "Is it possible if she could have been stabbed to death?" And he says yes. And then she's like, "Is it possible she could have been strangled?" And the coroner's like, "Yes." So there were 100 different scenarios how she could have died. So they're like, how can the police say it's not suspicious? So that's
But there
yeah.
must be some, like, I feel like even if you're stabbed and shot, like, there can still be evidence of that on a skeletal remains, right? Like, even though all your flesh is
Hmm.
gone, but, like, the bones could still have damage, especially from a
Yeah.
gunshot or,
Even stab
from
wounds, they can
stabbing.
like nick the bones. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
and like I guess
Strangling, maybe not.
strangulation, well, it can like crush your trachea and stuff. And
yeah,
I think you could
yeah,
probably
I
see
guess.
that.
There
But
has to be a way, yeah.
yeah, so there was evidence of that, or he's saying like, well, it's possible, but we don't know.
yeah.
Like
He said like
anything's possible kind of thing.
yeah, anything's possible. And that retired Vancouver police detective says like a number of reasons. It could have been like she could have died in any number of ways, but the composition was so advanced that it's almost impossible to determine cause of death. And they couldn't. It's been obviously they couldn't do a tox. It's been too long. They can't do a toxicology report now. So they just really didn't know. They have nothing the police say they have nothing to indicate how she died. But
So if they don't
the
think, that her cause of death is suspicious, then it's like, what is their assumption then? Are they assuming that she just went to
yeah,
that place and like
right,
did drugs and overdosed, and
right.
that's
So
why she's in a seated position?
yeah, so the police say that, so everyone's like, and he also says the investigation is complete, and so he doesn't go on to say what he thinks happened. So everyone's like, okay, so where are the rest of her bones? So police say animals may have removed the missing bones, but again, her family doesn't believe that because she was found under a blanket. So would the blanket have been disturbed if a animal was eating her, I guess? But then
Yeah,
someone
that's what I would
one of the
think.
police yeah, and then the police text like, "Actually, no, it's possible that they could, like, eat half like, they could take their fingers, whatever, without disturbing the blanket at all."
Like little animals, like rats or something could get up in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But also, where is if their assumption is that she overdosed, like if she, because I think it's foul play. Like even if the thing was she overdosed somewhere else and they brought her there after that to like hide the evidence, that's
Mhm.
still foul play, isn't it?
Well, exactly. So
Yeah.
so
So if it's not foul play, you have to assume that she got to that position and she got to that place on her own. But if she went there to do drugs, where's the paraphernalia? Where's the
right.
needle? Where's everything else? Nothing else is
Yeah.
found? Just her.
Yeah. Yeah, so police believe that Chelsea died the same night she disappeared, September 6th, 2020. And again, it's something else the family doesn't agree with. They're saying if she died that night, how did no one see her body for almost 2 years? They just cannot fathom that. Like, there was a party house. There's a party. People went there. So, like, how did no one see her for 2 years? And how was her body? Yeah. So how was her body not discovered sooner? A message posted on the Bring My Sister Chelsea Home on Facebook page said, like I said, the vacant mansion had a reputation among people in the downtown east side, which, as you'll know, east side is one of the worst neighborhoods in Canada. A huge drug and homeless problem. And it's known this certain property was known in the downtown east side as a destination for the homeless and drug users. So everyone knew about it down in the core drug area. So I mean, it wasn't like people like no one had been in that property for 2 years. People were there. So and she was under a blanket on this mat, and no one seemed to see her or smell her. It doesn't make
But
sense.
was she known to like be involved in that though, like drugs and like
I
partying with
mean,
those kind of
y
people?
she, she struggled with addiction before, and she moved to Vancouver. She seemed to be good. She was only in Vancouver. She moved there July 13th. Her family said and she went missing in September. Her family said she didn't know anyone. She really didn't, know anyone at all. Like, she just kinda hung out with her family. So how would she even know about anyway, yeah, we'll get into that later, but, like, her sister never mentioned that she had friends in that's why her sister knew that she had no friends in Vancouver yet. Like and, like, when she didn't even like, her sister is the one that suggested they go up to Granville Street, and she told her sister about the Granville Strip. Her sister had never even heard of the Granville Strip, so her sister wanted to go. So her sister's pretty very new to the city, had never been to these places, so I don't think she had made a bunch of friends yet or connections. I don't know, but she met someone. She had texted her sister saying she met a new man. So it's
But
just
also,
weird.
isn't it because the way that they found the body and like it's clear that she had been there a long time though.
Yeah,
So even though they
definitely.
don't think she died that night she went missing, but they still don't think that she was alive most of that time and then was just recently. Like she had to have been there at
Yeah, I don't
least.
know. Like the police, I mean, if all the family says is like they don't believe she died that night. I don't know if they were saying she was put there another time. Like they don't think she was there for all that time because she would have been found. But I mean, her body had been almost not like it was disintegrating. Like her bones were staining the cement. She was like sleeping, like she was decomposing through the mattress she was on. So she had been there definitely through the heat dome. I would say definitely. I mean, her to be that badly decomposed. Anyway, the family,
Yeah,
yeah,
I would say even if they don't think she died that night, I mean, she could have just been like partying like on a bender for a few nights and then died, right? Like, I don't think it was like a year later she died there. Not that I have anything to back that up with, but I mean, she was clearly there for a long time.
yeah. So, but that's one of the biggest questions is how was the body not discovered sooner? For me, that's not the biggest question. I don't know. I don't think that's not as perplexing to me as the next question. Like next question is how did she get there? So the walk from downtown Granville from that friend's apartment So from downtown Granville to Shaughnessy is about an hour walk, but for Chelsea, it would have been longer. Like, she didn't know the area at all. She was not like, she's new to Vancouver. She hadn't even been on Granville yet. She walked with a limp. They said 2 blocks would take her 20 minutes. She could barely walk, like, she was disabled. The route was unfamiliar, and the property was gated and had barriers, and she had a break. She would have to climb over the fence. Like, she had help, obviously, like, how'd she get there? So during the journey to the mansion, which was more than likely taken in the midnight hours, Chelsea would have had to pass downtown skyscrapers, journey across the big Granville Street bridge, like, Katie, you know, big, like, that's bridges, and then travel uphill. It's all uphill, passing streets upon streets of tree-lined yards until finally arriving at that specific house. Like, the journey would have taken her longer than an hour if she walked.
I
Um,
think it's possible, like, the person that she met there just took her there that night.
well, yeah, and that's so another person's like, well, she either had to get there by bus, Uber, or taxi, or even a car. But then, like, Granville and Davie, where she was at, is full cameras all over the place, but nothing was ever caught. So, like, and when her sister, after they got into a fight, her sister goes downstairs to find her almost quickly. She's gone right away. Like, it's like she obviously got into, like, that. She said met a new, like, she if she had walked away on her own. She's pretty recognizable. You know, she has a brace, she has a limp. You would have seen her walking up the street. You know that was her walking up the street. She walked up she never saw her. Like, she must
Yeah,
have gotten
and
to
you
a
said that
car.
she wasn't a very fast walker, so
No,
she
like,
likely
so
would have been seen.
Yeah, like she could have like took off running or something. Like her
Yeah.
sister,
yeah,
if she
like,
was there, her sister would have like probably seen her as
yeah,
soon as she went down the stairs
yeah.
or
So she
outside.
was,
Yeah.
Or, like, walk a little bit around the area, you'd probably see her because she
Mhm.
wouldn't
yeah.
have
So
gone very far.
she left with someone. I mean, that's the case. Like, everyone, a lot of people are like, "I don't think this even was a crime committed. She may probably just overdose." But someone took her there. Someone was there, and
Yeah,
someone
someone's probably like,
knows.
I know a good party house, and then
Yeah,
she just went with them.
and
Yeah.
she must, and also, like, she unwillingly made it easier for the person to take her away because, as you remember, she pulled that fire alarm on the way out. So then chaos erupts on the sidewalk. It's easy if you just hop into a car with her while everyone's, like, she unwillingly made it easier for her to escape undetected, really. So she definitely got into a car, I would say. And it wasn't until after she already was gone a bit that she had texted her sister saying, "I found a new bay. Leave me alone." So I don't know if she was outside. It never really specified too if she, like, well, no, her sister said she went out to look for her pretty quickly and she was gone. So
Did
she
they
may
ever
have
trace
made
that
it.
call? Like, were they able to like see exactly? Probably the area, but
So I get in, it says a little bit something about that later, but yeah, so she said she had money in a bank account, but it was never touched that night or after. So, like, and then like I said, the mansion was surrounded by high gates and hedges. So she had it, she couldn't climb that by herself. And why would, I mean, how would she, like, someone helped to climb over that hedge to party in that yard? Like,
what was like the gate like chain shut? Like someone could climb over and then open the gate for other people and then shut it
I
again?
think it was,
Or was it
long
like
shot
completely
always.
chained? Yeah, that probably makes
Yeah, because,
sense if nobody
yeah,
lived there.
yeah, like, the family that lived overseas for 6 years, and we see this all the time in Vancouver, huge houses vacant for years and years, and so,
Yeah,
yeah,
great
they
job,
had,
Vancouver.
yeah, yeah, it's so annoying. Anyway, yeah, so it's a huge house. If you Google it, it's huge, and no one had been there in 6 years, so I'm pretty sure the family, whoever lived there, would lock out the gate when they're gone, but you could climb over, but there's barriers and stuff. Anyway, her mom said she couldn't climb. Her one arm didn't even bend. Like, I mean, she wasn't alone. Is what everyone is. Obviously, she wasn't alone. I think that's very obvious. So who was she
But
with?
even if she was with someone, she would have still had to climb herself to get up there.
Well, someone would have. But she would have had help at least.
Yeah, but it still would have been
Like,
very hard for her probably.
I guess.
Yeah,
But
it feels like unrealistic that she'd be by herself and like stumble upon that house
yeah,
that people just happen to party at
Yeah.
all the
like,
time. And it'd
And
be
I
like
then
an
be like, I'm
hour
gonna
walk
climb
away.
the fence.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
why?
like, why go all the way to Sean? Like, that's a trek. Like, so 20 an hour walk. I mean, I love to walk, but an hour, like, uphill at, like, well, I don't know. Why not just go downtown, play Hastings, and party? You know, if you want to
Yeah.
party, like, I don't know. It's just what, it's just the neighborhood doesn't make sense. Someone took her there. Someone left with her, and so
Yeah, it seems like someone brought her there, somebody gave her drugs while she was there, did drugs with her, or shot her up or whatever, and then
yeah,
left her.
yeah. Yeah. So that's the biggest question. How'd she get there? And then another big question that they have is why are personal items found later by her father items police didn't collect? So Chelsea's dad goes to the property and actually jumps the fence. He has a video of it. He jumps the fence to get into the backyard. He sees items all over the place from where Chelsea's body was found that he knows were in Chelsea's purse the night she went missing. There was toothpaste, hair elastic, socks. There was a little pig for like an actual little pig for her phone charger that her dad actually bought her. That was found. Half a bus pass. So like 18 months later, these pieces are. He has a video of him finding these things. He sees the half of bus pass. They all look like, I mean, they've been out there for 18 months, but they're there. And he's wondering, why weren't they tested? Why weren't they taken and tested? When the Vancouver Police Department is asked this, they say that they did a thorough forensic examination of the scene at the time. And they said, if there was a hair tie that did in fact belong to Chelsea, they have to consider what that evidence would afford them. They knew Chelsea was there. So when they looked at evidence, they had to look at it from a number of different perspectives. And one of the perspectives is if it's a valuable evidence. And if it was, they say they would have taken it. So all those items they didn't consider valuable at all.
The argument there is like, I mean, I think they still should have taken it, but it's like they know she was there. So like obviously her other stuff would be there, I
Yeah.
guess. Right? Like I guess is that what they're saying? Like it's not like they found items of hers
I,
at a place where they
I don't know.
didn't know
Like,
she was. Right? Because then you're like, oh, she was here because her stuff's here. But it's like they already knew she was there. So
yeah,
having the rest of her stuff be there isn't
yeah.
necessarily
But
gonna get them any more information.
yeah. So the chief of police just sums it up saying, what it comes down to is they don't believe they left anything of evidentiary value at the house. They would have taken it if they considered it valuable. Essentially what it says. And of course, once again, the family, not everyone that values like all that is evidentiary value. They believe.
Yeah. I still think they should have taken it for sure. But
Yeah. So her cell phone was never found, and they never found her ID. And they said that they said they found her purse. It was empty. So her phone was actually pinned over on Hastings Street. I also read a report that it was actually pinned right at like Victoria Square, which downtown, which is a known park that is full of drugs. People using all the time. It's a very sketchy area. So as her phone was pinged over on Hastings Street, but the police officer said the radius said it pinged as far. So there was a 5 kilometer radius, and the mansion where she was found was at 4.6 kilometer radius. So they said it was at Hastings, but that doesn't mean like that could mean anywhere in the downtown core. So they didn't really mean too much to them, they said. But they said that her missing phone is one of the missing pieces of evidence they want the most. They have flagged both the SIM card and the phone itself in the event that either are used. However, the police have no information that either have ever been used shortly after she went missing. So 6 weeks after Chelsea's body is found, police start scouring Vancouver's Van Dusen Botanical Gardens, which is a short walk away from the mansion, and officers say they're trying to find her missing bones. There's a lot of coyotes in that area, a lot of like dens. So they're thinking if a coyote took some of the bones, they want to look in that area. The police say the animals took her missing body parts and took off somewhere, but people don't believe that. Like I said, how can coyotes take her fingers and parts of her skull without moving the blanket that she was found under? When asked about this, the police say, it is possible the blanket would have been able to stay undisturbed during the animals taking parts of her body. So it's all for the whole case. You see the back and forth, like the family's saying, "Well, how come this didn't?" And then the police have to go on press conference, kind of double down, trying to explain all these questions. So it's a back and forth a lot in this case. Like, Chelsea's family and a lot of people believe that her being Indigenous definitely played a role in how this case was handled. I think that's why it made huge, huge news. As you know, like, Canada has a huge problem with missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. So this was a huge uproar. So that's kind of where it stood for a while. But there was an update this past in May of 2025, and it said the new Westminster Police announced they were investigating Vancouver police officers involved in Chelsea's case for potential neglect of duty. The new Westminster Police is essentially saying that Vancouver police were neglectful. So the chief of police of Vancouver responds saying we weren't neglectful. There was no expense spared. They took Chelsea's disappearance very seriously, but she admits they could have done things better. But they, from the beginning, took her disappearance seriously. And so Chelsea's mother, Sheila Poorman, says she submitted this complaint about neglectful duty about 4 years after Chelsea's initial disappearance. So she's the one that submits it, and the one and actually gets picked up, and they actually are like, yeah, we actually are going to open up a case from this. So that's huge. And Chelsea's mom just says she hopes the officers involved will be held accountable and that there will be changes in the system, what she described as broken. And the Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner, he would not provide any details about what triggered the investigation. I mean, obviously, he said Chelsea's mother had submitted a complaint, but there was other details that triggered the investigation, and they never have stated why. So at the retired police detective that it goes on the Crime Beat episode, he thinks it has absolutely something to do with her being Indigenous. He says the police would have moved heaven and earth to find women who weren't Indigenous. So it's not a resourcing problem. And a lot of people were saying, well, maybe give the cops a break. Maybe it was a resourcing problem. And the retired police officer, who seems like he's just done with the Vancouver Police Department, he's like, it's not a resource problem. If she was white, they would have moved heaven and earth to find her. So even one of its own is saying, yeah, the Vancouver Police Department is definitely.
Also, I feel
Yeah.
like from the beginning, when people are like ripping down those signs, it kind of feels racist. Like, why do you
Well,
care more about a telephone pole than about a missing person? Like,
and you want know what's
priorities.
interesting? The people that were ripping it down, they were white, all white. Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
an old white loser man and a white loser woman.
Oh my
Oh, yeah,
Like what the fuck is wrong with, like, why do you
yeah,
care?
and it's like
Like,
she's like
No.
up, like she's like, and then the video, I can't see her. They blurred her face. I don't know why, but like someone has it on a cell phone. It's on crime. It's like, it's very sad and everything, but it's gonna damage the pole. It's bird shit all over the pole. So I mean, I think it's already damaged. Like the big loogie on it. I mean, I think it's damaged beyond recognition. So, anyway, that's just so stupid. Made me so mad.
I was like, yeah, I think that because she's Indigenous and also because they thought she was like a drug user anyway, like those two things, it was like even just one of them by themselves, like when you're in that kind of lifestyle, it's like, well, what can you do?
Yes. So in Canada, Indigenous women go missing or are murdered at a rate that is so alarming, a national report called it a genocide. So it says Indigenous women, this is also 2 years, like this is on that Crime Beat episode when they said the statistics. It said Indigenous women in Canada are 12 times more likely to be murdered or go missing than non-Indigenous women. And so, like I said, Chelsea's family believes that it absolutely has something to do with it, why the police were lacking. Statistics also suggest that Indigenous women fall prey to crimes by people they barely know at an alarming rate. Nearly 40% are murdered by a casual acquaintance or stranger. Usually it's like, oh, someone you know. It's usually someone you know. Indigenous women, nearly 40% are murdered by a stranger, someone they just met, which is very interesting to me.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there's a woman named Lorelai Williams who is a missing and murdered Indigenous woman advocate, and she says, there have been all these inquiries into this issue. There's been books and books of recommendations that are just sitting on shelves at the police station collecting dust. She said nothing has changed. If anything, it's worse. So police respond back to this. They're getting a lot of hate, and they say they had 67 officers dedicated to this investigation. They weren't neglectful. It was a major investigation. There were over 307 investigative steps that were taken. And in fact, it was only a few weeks prior to her remains being located that the police approved tidal mappings for False Creek in an effort to see where her remains would have landed in the event that she had chosen to take her own life that night. So False Creek, the Granville Bridge goes right over False Creek. And a lot of people, there have been people trying to jump from that bridge. They have railings down so people can't get up, but it was known for people to jump off, commit suicide. So they think maybe they were going to check a few weeks before her body was found. They actually were getting the tidal maps to see if her body would wash up if she had jumped. So they said they would look at all avenues. She also said, the police chief that was in this episode, she also said there was a number of advanced investigative techniques that she can't discuss because they're covert in nature. How convenient. So
yeah, so covert that people won't know if we're making them up. So.
Yeah. So in a Vancouver Sun article that was dated back in January 2025, Sheila Poorman has said she heard from a journalist recently that there is video of Chelsea on a transit bus on the night of her disappearance, but police haven't even told her about that. Somehow a journalist knows, but the police haven't even mentioned anything about that to her. So that would
be very relevant.
Yeah.
That would be very, She was on the
And honestly, she was
bus.
on a bus. Her and her sister took a bus up to Granville, but I mean, so maybe it was her and her sister, but it just says there was video of just of Chelsea on a bus. I think if it was Chelsea and her sister, maybe it wouldn't have been so worth mentioning or something. I don't know, but there is video of Chelsea on a bus on the night of disappearance, and the police haven't even told her that. It's just some journalists decided to tell her. So, she's so they're always wondering, the police aren't telling us anything. They're not doing what they should be doing. And so that retired police officer that I mentioned before, that was on this Crime Beat episode, he says he's certain the police could have figured out where she was within a week just by video and interviewing the people she came across at the various places that she was. Like, they could have went to the Belmont Hotel and asked the bartender and stuff, did you see this girl? Who's she talking to? Because they mentioned that as soon as they walked into the bar, they were harassed by these three men. So maybe, they'll ask around the places they went. So Sheila thinks the police think she's just overdosed, but like I said, the coroner was unable to determine the cause of death, and so they said we may never know how she died. So Chelsea was friendly and trusting, so Sheila's adamant that somebody got a hold of her and took her and just did whatever to her, but she doesn't know for sure how she died, but someone did something to her for sure. So when the investigator, the chief, this police spokesperson went on to say that the investigation was complete, and he got a lot of hate for that. So they had to do another press conference and kind of walk back what they said. So they took take back what they said and said that was a poor choice of words to say that they concluded the investigation. And he said at no time has the investigation been complete. But he literally says in that Crime Beat episode, investigation is complete. So they say it is not complete until they have all the information with respect to how Chelsea Poorman died and how she ended up in the back of that house on West 36th Avenue. So the rest of Chelsea's remains have never been found, and the investigation remains active. So her family is desperate for answers and believes somebody knows something about what happened to her during her final hours. So that's kind of where we stand right now. So what do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's obvious it's foul play.
Oh, yeah,
I think.
definitely.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there's really only three scenarios. Like, in my mind, there's only three scenarios of how she got there. It's like she went there on her own, which is unlikely, because why? Or she went there with someone else, or her body was put there after, which is not likely either. So, obviously, she had to have gone there with someone else.
Yeah.
But it's like, so then it's like, yeah. Which I think, if you want to say that she overdosed or whatever, I mean, there's no evidence to suggest that. But, like, obviously people were there. Someone knows that she went there with them and whatever.
Whether she overdosed or someone, like, there was a crime committed, someone took her there and it's not saying anything. So this is something that's.
Yeah, but I mean, taking her there isn't a crime in and of itself.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, whether they took her there meaning to kill her, I don't know. But somebody knows that she died there, just didn't do anything about it, or like didn't help her, didn't tell anybody, and just kind of like left her there. Yeah.
And like Chelsea's sister says, like, they don't know when the contractor got there, but the April 22nd is the day when he discovered, like, when he decided to lift up that blanket. So they're kind of saying, like, they think the contractor had been there before cleaning up some of the garbage, but never looked under that blanket until April 22nd. And like, when you look at aerial views of the house and stuff, it really is like there's just trees everywhere, but like you really can't see into the backyard. It really is like you can't see anything. There's hedges, the trees, fence, so you wouldn't be able to see anything just walking by. But they think, like, how did the contractor not see it before, if he was there before, which they think he was. And then he decides to lift up the blanket, and that's when he sees what's left of her.
But, like, even if it was, like, I don't want to just assume and say that she overdosed, because obviously we don't know that, and I want to make that assumption. But even if you can say, even if it turns out that is okay, what happened, and someone was there and knows, it's like, but isn't there like a whole like Good Samaritan law where it's like, because a lot of people would be like, well, you're not going to call the police if you're also using drugs. But then the whole point is like, no, you can't be charged, right, under that law. Like if you report an overdose, you can't also. So I guess maybe people don't know about that or still don't care enough.
It's so
I don't know,
weird.
but
it's not really clear, really. Like her and her sister get into a fight, and like she leaves. I'm wondering, like, did anyone at the party notice? Like, did she meet someone at the party that she left with? I mean, her sister, I'm just guessing that she left alone, but she must have, like, met someone as soon as she stepped outside and gets to it. Like, it happened so fast. Like, how did she meet someone within and then goes with them, and it's just weird how, like, fast she would've made a friend
Yeah.
or something. I don't
Like, a
know.
lot
Yeah,
of
because
stuff
like,
would have
it's not
had to
like she
happen.
mentioned yeah, it's not like she mentioned that person beforehand. It was, like, after she got mad and
Yeah,
left, now all of a sudden she has this person that she's leaving with,
yeah,
but not
yeah,
before. Yeah.
Like, a lot of
yeah,
stuff would have had to happen in a short amount of time. Like, she would have had to meet someone, they would have had to have a conversation, then that person invites her into a car or something. Like, that's a lot of stuff to happen in, like, what, a couple minute time?
yeah, it's
I
very
mean, did
it's
she send that text
strange.
message? Someone else could have. Like,
Yeah,
did they ever
maybe.
find her phone? Like,
No, no,
yeah.
never found her phone,
Yeah,
it
that
pinged
also
off.
is weird. Like, where's her phone? Like, she would have had her
Yeah,
phone if she was
yeah,
just there partying.
Yeah.
her
Someone
So
wallet
else's
was
someone
never
phone
took her
too,
found.
phone
so
because they didn't
yeah.
there was
Yeah,
must have been something on the phone they didn't want anyone to find out.
yeah, and it pinged on Hastings, what makes I mean, it makes perfectly sense. That's I mean, they're using drugs to go down to Hastings to get them. Like, it makes I wasn't surprised it pinged off Hastings, but I mean, downtown Vancouver's not that big, so if pinged off Hastings, she really could have been anywhere in Granville, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything, like,
Yeah.
downtown Vancouver is very small. She could be in Gastown and it pinged on, so I get why they say, like, that doesn't mean she anything like, we know she was downtown. So, I mean, anyways,
Yeah.
we never
And she
really
could have met multiple different people. Like, she could have left that one area with somebody else in a car, then went somewhere else, and then met somebody else that took her to that house. Like, and there could
Yeah,
have been like multiple different interactions there. So,
and it's like, she's small and she's has a brace, she walks with a limp, she has disabilities, that she would have been an easy target maybe. She's very
hmm
trusting, she's very friendly. She was intoxicated, I mean, prime target
yeah.
for anyone, but it's just, how do you meet someone and then you go in the car? I don't know, I mean, yeah, I don't know, but she seemed
Maybe
to
when
just
you're drunk
disappear.
too, like maybe someone just said, "Hey, do you want to? There's a party. There's
Yeah,
the fire alarm is pulled here. This party's over. Let's
yeah,
go to another one,"
Yeah.
yeah,
kind of thing.
hmm
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're just not
Or and
thinking.
it
And
could have
if
been like
she's
a
very
few
trusting,
people got in like one car. Like, it could have been like a group of people that went somewhere together. Like, it might not have just been her by with some other random person, right?
yeah,
Could have been
yeah,
like a group of people, so she felt safer.
yeah, yeah. So, um,
it's sad.
I know,
hmm
and it's just crazy.
Well,
And now
well,
that
halfway
house.
through, I was thinking because I know you said like Vancouver police, but I was thinking like,
Yeah,
was this the RCMP? Because if it was the RCMP, I wouldn't be surprised that it's not
no,
solved.
no, it's
But the Vancouver
literally
police,
the VP, yeah, the Vancouver police, and then New West is now opening up. Like, New West is like another suburb. They have they're opening, so they're the ones that are opening up the investigation. So it's open now, and they're working on building a case. I guess the police, of course, the VPD is saying, adamant that no, we're not neglectful. Like, we did all this, we did A, B, and C. And you also don't know other things that we've done behind the scenes. So there's been lots of different valleys for her, and it's just it's so sad. They feel like they'll never know what happened, but obviously someone took her there. And like I said, there was like the father had to hop over the gate to get into the backyard. So like, she didn't get there by herself. How would she even know to go there? So, and none of the security cameras were working. I mean, there's no sign of her. She disappeared literally so quickly.
it's
So
so
I
crazy.
think it's very obvious she didn't walk there, you know?
Yeah, like I
So,
think it's pretty obvious that she didn't go there by herself randomly and
and I
walk.
feel like did she take an Uber for somebody? I feel like maybe they should have reached out to the Uber company, you know?
But I feel like, yeah, I mean, I
Maybe
guess if
they
they didn't
did.
investigate it, because I was thinking like you can find someone's Uber account. You can like
Yeah.
subpoena an Uber account and see if she took any Ubers through her account.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe they did, but also if they didn't really, I mean, they dropped the ball, so I
But
doubt
it's
they
also
even
like,
thought that.
I mean, if it was a sketchy person, like, would they have, I don't know, would they even have their own car? Like, I think they got into like an Uber of some sort, or a taxi.
There could have been a taxi. There's no record of
Yeah.
that if you pay
But like, they didn't
cash or
ask,
whatever.
there's not many cab
It's
companies
record,
here.
but
Like, you could have asked any of the four major cab companies here, you know?
yeah. But you also have to like try. It doesn't seem like they
They
probably
could
even
have,
tried.
and they just
Yeah.
didn't get anywhere with it. Like,
Yeah.
probably so many people that night. The cab they and like yeah, if she paid cash or she wasn't even the one that paid.
Yeah.
Cab driver's not paying that much attention.
But there has to be. I
That
feel like this day and age, there has to be some type of tracking in a
yeah. Well, that's, and
cab.
like, that retired Vancouver police detective who like he's just ratting them out left and right. He's like, they would have found they should have been able to find her within a week, but they didn't use what I mean. He's like, but we're basically saying like they could have found her if they traced it properly, but they just didn't.
'Cause, yeah, I mean, I haven't taken a
Basic,
cab
I'm
in years, but there has to be some
them
type of
either.
way this day and age to like, because Ubers you can
Yeah,
trace right through your account, like you
Yeah, but
track
if it
exactly where you
wasn't her
went.
account, it was somebody else. They can't track every single person
Yeah,
that gets into a cab if there's like 4 people that pile in. How are you supposed to know who
yeah,
was with you exactly,
yeah.
yeah,
right?
But there
yeah,
has to be like if a cab took them to that house,
yeah,
then there should be some type of record on that of that.
Yeah, I
Might not know
guess.
her exactly, but the cab would have a track of where they traveled to every trip. Feel like
yeah,
you would, but
yeah,
like you could
so,
call the 4 cab companies. Did any of your cabs take this route on this night? Boom, done.
yeah,
And then they'd find, oh
Yeah.
yes, at this time. I don't know.
I don't know. I
yeah,
feel like they wouldn't have gotten a cab right to the house, though. I don't know. I feel like they would have gotten somewhere close and then walked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know.
So I just gotta
yeah,
ask, like, do you guys think could be Indigenous and had anything to do with this?
100%. I think it's a
Yeah.
question. As soon as you said at the beginning she was Indigenous, I'm like, I know where this is going.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Yeah.
that's reality here,
And that's the
unfortunately.
sad thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's what that
yeah,
retired police detective said. He said if that was a white woman went missing, she would have heaven and earth would have been moved to find her immediately. So that police officer just seems done with Vancouver Police Department. He was bashing them left,
yeah,
right, and center. Had she not fought like she had fought with addiction, and she had disappeared for a few days at a time. So I think that stacked against her too. Like that's why her family waited 2 days. 'Cause, like Chelsea has gone off the grid for a few days before. And she did battle addiction, so I think the cops at that right there too were like, okay, well, she's on a bender somewhere right now, you know. So I think that,
yeah,
yeah, uh, I mean, there's such a stigma around it. If you know anything about Chelsea Poorman's final hours, they say no matter how small, you need to contact the Vancouver Police Department at 604-717-3321. And there's also a missing murder Indigenous women and children website that has support and awareness and lots of good articles on that. There's a 24/7 support line. It's like 1-844-413-6649. And it offers immediate help. And there's also May 5th now is Red Dress Day, and it raises awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. And there's also a whole list of statistics about this, but I hope they get
yeah.
the answers, but I don't know. They've been fighting with the police since day one, so the police have
And
been
also, I mean, like
pushed.
they say, if you know anything, contact the Vancouver Police. But that's not an organ. I wouldn't trust the Vancouver Police. What are they going to do with that tip? Like throw it away? Like, I mean,
Mm.
you would hope they wouldn't. So still call the police if you have a tip. But like, doesn't make me feel confident in the people who receive the tips.
So yeah, the police were the last people I called, but thanks. Like you don't even have working security cameras on your doors. There's a Bring Chelsea Home Facebook page that you could probably, if you felt more, if you wanted to be actually heard and taken seriously, like go there instead of the police first, I would guess.
We'll link the Facebook page in the show notes.
But that is the case of Chelsea Poorman,
Crazy. Yeah, we did
right?
a whole it's crazy. Yeah, we did a whole mini series on this podcast about missing and murdered Indigenous women. I think it was what, 4 parts we did?
And
Yeah.
now Chelsea, unfortunately, is just one more statistic to add to this. And advocates say it's not getting any better. The police don't seem to be working on recommendations that they've been given to try to help this problem.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard. Like one thing too is it's like it took a lot of work, I think, to even get it to be like the awareness that it was a problem. So that's why, like, I think when a lot of people are aware of when you say missing and murdered Indigenous women, a lot of people might know of like that term or they've heard of it or they know about the Highway of Tears. So it's like that was one part of it is like getting the awareness out, but then it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
That's the next thing. It's like, okay, we know
I
it's happening, but we still have to
yeah.
do something about it.
I also wonder if it being during COVID hindered this case at all. Like, would it outcome been different if it was, 2019, 2018? You know what I mean? Like, I can imagine. I mean, they said it was a busy night out downtown. I remember going, like, I lived in Vancouver. I remember going out to the bars and restaurants during that time. It wasn't super busy. I mean, you definitely noticed it was half the capacity it used to be. Um, I just wonder, like, if the business more businesses would have been open, the security cameras would have worked,
But
you
also,
know?
too, thinking that, was it have been a thing where everyone had to wear a mask? Even if there was security camera, they wouldn't be able to tell who it was if you're wearing a
Yeah, that's
mask.
true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So they wouldn't
weird.
know. How would they
Yeah.
know? I mean, I guess they would know her because she has a limp and, like, even if you can't
Yeah.
see her face, you would know it's her. But for
Yeah.
whoever it was that she was with, you have no idea.
Yeah.
But
So if anyone knows anything, I mean, someone knows something. Someone took her there that night, or one or more people took her there that night, helped her get up over the fence, were in the backyard. Whether she was willingly taking drugs or she was injected. I mean, I believe, you know, someone left her there when she needed help, and that is a crime in itself. So I hope we get answers. So anyway, yeah, the police, the an investigation being opened is huge because I feel like sometimes that doesn't happen very often. Like especially with the police involved, they like to take care of their own and try to hide the wrongdoing. But I'm glad one of the police forces here is like, no, you wouldn't neglect Florida opening up at this. So hopefully this will maybe change things like this in the future for Indigenous women. I don't know, but it must be frustrating not getting any answers. And her investor remains were never found. So I mean, people think coyotes took it. Phone was never found. Her ID, yeah.
the missing phone is like also makes me super sketch of like foul play for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if it was just like, unless you're
Like
thinking an
like
animal took her phone too, but
yeah. But
why?
it's like all she said to her sister was, I met a new bae, leave me alone." I mean, if so she's with that guy, there would be no text between her and that guy probably, so why hide it? Like, "Met my new bae?" That's you can could not be more innocuous than that,
But I think maybe because they were thinking like maybe they took the phone so that it couldn't be traced if the police were on it right away, like if they could find out where it was.
I guess.
So
Yeah.
maybe they took it to put it to another location that couldn't be tracked, or they
Yeah.
destroyed it. I don't know.
She also could have just
Yeah.
lost it with the chaos of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, left it
Yeah.
in the cab or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But then
Yeah, but then what
no one ever
happened? Yeah, I
no one ever
guess.
came forward and said, I have this phone, it could be the missing girls." Like, a cab driver, I don't know. Unless the cab driver took her somewhere.
But the cab driver could have taken the phone, but like,
A part of me thought, like, when the police told the dad that the cameras outside didn't work that night, I thought that was a little weird. Like maybe like a police officer did something to her that they shouldn't have, you know what I mean? And they're trying to cover that up. I can't imagine never the cameras outside the police office. And that police station where it's at, there's always homeless people doing drugs right in front of it. The cameras would be on for sure on a weekend.
yeah.
Always arrests going on
I
there.
mean, it
Always.
wouldn't surprise me if it's a cover up by the police too.
I'm like,
I
what?
don't know.
I was just that for me is like, maybe it was a corrupt cop that took advantage of her or something, I don't know.
Like if I was a family, like I would if I was a family and like that was the explanation, I would be like, no, 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 you're gonna have to do better than that. I'm not gonna just
Yeah,
say, okay, like no, that's
yeah,
not cutting it.
yeah,
Because it's super
yeah,
sketchy at the very least. Even if it's
yeah,
true, but like I wouldn't
yeah,
there's no way I would just like, no.
There also
You're
could have been
gonna
just like something unrelated that was on those cameras, so they didn't want people to see. And yeah, like something else happened, but they didn't want to get out there, and so they're just like, yeah, it doesn't work. Even if they did see her on there, because they didn't want people to see something else.
like, I don't know why they wouldn't work that night. It wasn't even like they don't work at all, it was that night. I find that weird.
Yeah,
On a Friday night Sunday night, long weekend, always chaos going on downtown. I
this
don't
doesn't
know.
mean it
Yeah.
was just that night. It could have been that whole weekend. Could have been like a whole week. Like they said, it wasn't working that night. Not only that night, right? Like it could just
But then
not been
it's like,
working for a
why are
few
you letting your
days.
cameras go on inoperable for a week or multiple days?
'Cause, like,
Yeah.
the apartment building, and you can see it on that Crime Beat episode, it shows that apartment building where she was at was directly across from this community police station. Like, prime it would have been the prime my first thought, that I've been like, "That's a police off station, I see the 3 cameras, that's gonna be my answer. We're gonna see who she left with."
Yeah, you'd think, right? Yeah.
Crazy, crazy.
I was gonna say, I hope they do find the answers. And I feel like recently there's been like at least 3 or 4 like things on the news I've seen where they've cracked like old cold cases from decades ago. So I'm
Yeah,
like, there is always hope, but like, ugh, I don't know.
yeah,
So, but they don't have any DNA, right? Like it's so decomposed that like there's no DNA evidence
yeah.
that can really solve
They
this
couldn't
case.
do anything with her. Like, they couldn't take a toxology report, obviously. It was literally just skeleton left, you know? Um And she was seated up on the mattress. Like, how do you sit up? Like, she was leaning against. How do you? I mean, I guess she must. It's a mattress, but like a chair. Wouldn't she have fallen over?
It's a weird thing. Maybe, like, her legs were crossed, but she did fall, but they could tell she was seated when she died, maybe.
Like maybe she was
Yeah.
like slumped over or
Slumped
something.
over, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, as of I did read that that house now is for sale. It's the infamous house, they
Oh.
call it now. It's so that house is now for sale for a few $1,000,000. Who knows? There's so many vacant houses in Vancouver, around Vancouver, that stay empty for years that people do use as a party house. And people like, who knows what else is in other yards throughout Vancouver? Like, sketchy things go on in, derelict houses all the time. Like, there could be more missing people in the backyard of these mansions because no one's been there for 10 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Someone should go check all the backyards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, so if you know anything about her final hours, no matter how small you think the tip is, you are urged to contact the Vancouver Police Department at 604-717-3321. And there's also a support line for missing and murdered Indigenous women and children, 24/7 support line at 1-844-413-6649. They offer immediate help. So that's a good resource to use as well.
All right, so yeah, that does it for our coverage of the Chelsea Poorman case. If you are a fan of the show, you like listening to our coverage of the cases, you can follow us on all the social medias, Crime Family Podcast on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And if you have any case suggestions or feedback on the show or theories about any of the cases we do, you can email us, crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com. However, do not email tips to us. If you have tips, go to the numbers that Lisa provided for this case, and then for the other cases, go to where we direct you, because we aren't in law enforcement, so we can't really do much with your tip other than submit it. But it's better coming from the person who actually has the tip. So yeah, that does it for this episode. We will be back next week with a brand new case. And until then, take care.